Running a critique or a review does require a certain amount of setup and a certain amount of organisation. You can see there the brief summary of it. You set your goals, you decide who should be there, you decide what the materials are going to be present or available or reviewed, and how they're going to be available. You set the rules of behaviour and the expectations for behaviour. And you decide who will run the review. Sometimes this is the author, most often it's the author, and sometimes it's not. Now let's step through them piece by piece. Without goals, everyone will work from different assumptions. You get all manner of feedback. The goals of the review tend to involve what level you want the review to be. So early in the design of something, you tend to want broad observations about broad things, big things. You don't want observations about detail. Later in the life cycle, when it gets close to implementation, you want more information or more feedback about detail. Then is not the time to be finding major structural things wrong. That isn't useful. So you need to set the expectations about what this critique is about. You also need to set expectations or set the goals for what was this thing supposed to be doing in the first place. Reviewing a design for something that was supposed to be fast to market is different from reviewing a design for something that's supposed to be the best of its type. So it's important that everybody understands what the artifact, what you're reviewing, what it was intended to do, what it was intended to achieve. Now, who's in the room? Preferably you want a reasonably manageable number, say 5 or less, of people who really can contribute most to the discussion. Sometimes this means that hierarchy has got to go out the door. It really doesn't matter what their rank or status is in the organisation. The question is, can they contribute to the discussion? If they can, they should be in the room. This can sometimes mean that sometimes the most valuable person is the most prickly person of all. They can be very difficult to have in a review, but it's up to you to decide whether to have them or not. Now, it's equally not useful to have a whole lot of people who are unwilling to make hard observations. That's not the purpose. So the question is, who can give good feedback? Now, when it comes to the critique or the review, the question is obviously, what's going to be in the room? What materials are going to be in the room? Are you going to have the thing itself there in the room that everybody can point to, write on, scratch on, and agree about? Is this going to be in written form, spread out on the table, or is it going to be stuck on the walls, or is it going to be displayed electronically? How are people going to synchronize their efforts at what they're looking at? So the materials matter, and it's something you should decide before the event. Now, the behaviours, it pays to set the expectations for behaviour right up front. Principally in terms of the goals of the review, but also if things get heated, what are you going to do? Who's in charge? Who controls it? What happens if things do get out of hand? So you should clarify if there are formal ways of running a review. You should clarify that. You should clarify the author's intent. You should clarify the intent and goals of the artifact itself. And above all, be nice.